about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me.
Right, before we go to the city, I just wanted to mention one thing. Maybe a couple of things. Maybe. I just got like an overload inside my brain. It's like, I want to tell you one thing, but I wanted to tell you the other thing before that thing, and now it's trying to like barge in the way. Okay, the other thing was, the person, my friend, I'm the +1 for her friend's wedding later on today in New York, okay? My friend, she's in her house. Oh, she's coming. Oh, that's a cool t-shirt. It's so cool. Huh?
Are you vlogging?
Hey, I'm vlogging. What's up?
Oh, God. This shirt or this one?
That one.
This one?
Yeah, that one. Case and point. Her style of clothing is exactly like mine. Okay? The case was, we're pretty much the same. And she's a little further along in her life in some areas, and I'm a little further along in my life in some areas. And the coming together of us on this trip has caused us to experience things that I otherwise would have experienced in the future sooner rather than later, and vice versa. You know, she's experiencing things that she otherwise would have experienced sooner rather than later. So it's pretty cool. So right now I'm sat here in my, well, not my car, I say my car because I've told a lot of people it feels like I'm living in the past because I'm constantly seeing my future. I literally feel, I embody the emotions that future me has embodied. Here she comes again. What's up? Ready?
Yeah, I changed back into the shirt.
You changed back into
So
the
I
shirt?
can change back into it again.
Change back into the shirt. Okay, I'm going to let you guys know what I'm talking about later on.
What were you guys talking about? Huh?
I was just getting deep into some spiritual stuff.
Ooh, you're gonna cut that off?
I'm going to cut it off. I have to let them know. See you soon. Boy, I do look different. No, I tend to shift quite a bit how I look. Yeah. Diet and exercise does a lot to you. I know it's been a while since I last made a video. It's been maybe 7 weeks. Maybe, give or take. The last time I posted anything on Facebook was 7 days ago. And that feels like yesterday. Yeah. I've been doing a lot, but a lot of what I've been doing has not only been in preparation for future content for my YouTube channel, but it's also been kind of a private side project. Whether or not I'll actually release that on my YouTube channel in the near future, that's anybody's guess. That was a good trip, Florida. That was expected. You know, bit of foreshadowing there in this video. Because I'm going to be telling you guys the kind of mindset that I have, which is helping me to manifest. But also I wanted to give you guys some info on some other things. When I said that we're generally the same in that video, what I meant by that was, and if you see my ego video on what an ego actually is, which is nothing more than an expression of I guess archived emotions, archived behaviors used to express said emotions from the interactions that you've had throughout your entire life, the ones that are the most favorited over all the other interactions. For example, if you have a best friend who's acting a certain way, you tend to emulate your best friend. Yeah. I've said this a lot actually on my YouTube channel. Within the first 8 years of your life is when you're the most impressionable for this reason. In my life, when it comes to how I dress, I guess my kind of car choice, even though I don't have a car yet, but the kind of cars that I'm drawn to, that's all been influenced by my past. You know, my sister was heavily into Mustangs. I love the color red because my mum put me in red as a child. It's not so much the things that I like, it's more so what they represent and the people connected to them. And as of a result, I tend to dress a certain way, I tend to kind of carry myself a certain way, and not only that, but I'm also into specific activities. I'm artistic because my sister's artistic. And I started doing it not because I was actually interested in art as a child, but because I was more so persuaded into pursuing art because my sister was all about art, you see. And then I love my sister, and I love seeing all the things she was doing that was very practical, going to her college, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to do that. But it wasn't that mindset. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going to copy you because I have nothing else to do. It was more of an unconscious thing. I thought I really enjoyed art. I honestly believed it. But on a deep, subtle level, I didn't realize that the whole reason as to why I was being gravitated towards art wasn't so much the art itself. It was more so the people or the person that the art represented. I can only say that for myself. I can only speak on my behalf. Her named Charizette. I'm not quite sure where her style choices come from. It's not for me to know. All I know is her tastes in music, her tastes in what others would consider luxury, her taste in the material aspects of life are very much similar to mine. And in that respect, that brings me to what I was saying in regards to the fact that she's experiencing things that she otherwise wouldn't have experienced, and on the same note, I'm experiencing things that I otherwise wouldn't have experienced sooner rather than later. I'd always wanted a red Mustang. Always wanted a red Mustang, okay? I didn't necessarily need one. Again, it falls into what the Mustang actually represents. And then I found myself on that specific manifestation experiencing the kind of in-out type of reality, experiencing the feelings and the thoughts and the wants right in front of me due to this aspect of me when you look at the larger part of the collective consciousness just being you, or in other words, the dream, and everyone in the dream is you. This other aspect I'm speaking of is her, always ahead of life in that specific area. It's pretty cool. I mean, not only that, but lifestyles growing up, they're not completely the same. I'm not going to give you a history on her lifestyle, but I was in my head a lot, so I'm very advanced mentally. Awareness-wise, it's beyond work, as the kids are saying nowadays. And that's what I'm contributing towards people's lives, including hers. You know, again, it goes back into what I was saying. She's experiencing things she wouldn't otherwise have experienced sooner rather than later. It would suck to be 90 years old and to finally realize specific things due to a growth spurt in your awareness. Just getting it now. Luxury. Let's look at that word for a sec, because this whole theme of my YouTube channel so far has been geared towards manifestation. I'm not a luxurious person. I'm not. I have nice things because of my morals. I'm an empath. Well, I'm more than an empath, but going based on the understanding of what an empath is nowadays in the spiritual community, I'm going to go by that for a sec. I'm technically considered an empath, meaning I can feel energy on objects. I never buy anything secondhand because I can feel the previous owner on the objects. I'd much rather just buy it outright. I also like large spaces, not because I'm trying to create this kind of existential superiority complex that I am above everyone else because I'm rich and stuff like that, because I'm not rich. I'm wealthy in a sense, but I'm not rich. I like large spaces because when I was a kid, and this is going to sound silly to most people laugh. I just take it as they're laughing because they feel uncomfortable. So it's like a kind of shielding mechanism for their psyche, so they don't have to feel like crap. Let's just laugh and shrug it off. Because when I was a kid, and this probably happened to many of you guys out there, if you have older brothers, they had the tendency to grab duvets, pillowcases, and stuff like that, and do this over my face, and cut off the oxygen supply to my mouth and nose, and then sit on my back. Tight, cramped spaces. I developed the phobia of claustrophobia. Okay? It was not fun. It took me years to get over. I actually had to be quite practical in getting over that. Small, tight spaces. I actually remember a youth worker helped me through that. Very grateful for him. His name's Marvin. There are many Marvins out there, so you can't research him, but he's based in High Wycombe. He deals with youth work in the UK. But he helped me through that. And he helped me through public speaking in a sense as well, because I had a lot of issues with speaking in front of a lot of people. It's not all just my work that I'm doing for myself. I'd say he contributed a little piece to who I am today. Well, I still need a big space, in all honesty. In small spaces, I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like I'm growing enough as a person. I feel like I should be in a bigger space, not only to breathe, because of claustrophobia reasons, but because it's expected of me. And the reason why it's expected of me is because when I was a kid, under the impression that I had claustrophobia, I had already set my mindset to the idea of me living in a larger space so that I can breathe. I carried that into this manifestation, and I ended up bringing about 4 stays at Airbnbs in Florida, New Jersey, and New York, all of which were large showers, large kitchen areas. If you're in the group Ryan Cropper's Friends, you would have seen my live post where I'm sat on one of the countertops, and it's huge. You can make so much raw vegan food. That being said, manifestation, something that looks kind of luxury, isn't about that. It's more so the fact that your life will tend to accompany who you are internally. And if who you are inside is set up in a certain way, your external life is going to look a certain way. Yes, to some it may look luxury, and to some it may look like you've got a lot of money, but at the end of the day, these little things that you've harbored are creating your external reality. And it's funny because you wouldn't have otherwise have thought that things like claustrophobia and being an empath would have led to such an outcome. Especially in my life, I wouldn't have thought that. So it's been a good journey. And during the journey of me manifesting specific things within my life, ever since a YouTube subscriber told me, she adamantly told me, she said, Ryan, you keep talking about manifestation, just show us through vlogging. So that's a great idea. But ever since then, I've started to notice specific things in my external reality that kind of remind me that I'm doing the right thing. I've explained it in another video whereby I said that if you're aware enough, if your third eye is open enough, you can decode your entire reality. Everything is a huge external tarot deck, okay, or a tarot deck. Seeing numbers is just an aspect of that in your external reality. That's why there are numbers on tarot cards sometimes. It's to trigger a specific part of your subconscious mind into realizing something, having an epiphany about what you should be doing. If you've had that, then you're already on the cusp of being able to read tarot cards if you otherwise thought that you were new to the skill. During my life, whilst I'm acutely adjusting my sense of action, reaction, and my emotional state and my thought process so that I'm in alignment to that which I know I should be doing, and I'll tell you why I know I should be doing it in a second. I noticed that there are specific moments within my life where big manifestations have taken place, where I'm seeing the same symbology over and over again in my external tarot deck. And that is the Taurus sign. I was born under the Taurus, and whenever I manifest specific people into my life, Coincidence, the young girl you saw earlier on this vlog is also born under the Taurus star sign. Not only that, but while we were there, we actually went to New York. And if you've been to New York before, you would have seen the huge Taurus statue, that bronze Taurus statue that's just sitting there. And I took a few mugshots. I say mugshots, really I was photobombing a whole bunch of people. And it's not just on that specific manifestation that I saw the Taurus in two ways, be that her birth date and the symbology of that statue, but also when she came here recently. She came here for a week and we watched two random movies on Netflix. At the end of one of the movies, the big bad was a Taurus. Kid you not. It was actually a god, a conscious being that was able to manipulate its genetics in order to shift into specific roles. One moment it's a little Buddha, the next moment it's something a little bit more aggressive, and then it's something that reflects the desires of one of the people that it's trying to attack. And it's this conscious, self-aware, godlike figure that turns into a Taurus. You see what I mean by symbology? This is more than just a coincidence. The second video, again, we had no idea what was going to happen. It's called Dave Built a Maze. And now, thinking about it, it's kind of obvious that there is a Taurus in this maze. But when you look at the trailer, you just think that it's to deal with the imagination. This guy creates a fort out of cardboard. He goes inside the fort and gets lost in his own imagination. That was with her. The first time I kind of took off and I went overseas to the Bahamas, I saw another Taurus, and I mentioned that in the vlog series that can be found in a separate playlist on my channel, whereby I'm looking at an aquarium, and in the aquarium is this statue with, you guessed it, a huge Taurus. So it's something that keeps happening. It lets me know that I'm on the right track. They happen at crucial moments in my life to kind of let me become aware of everything. And even right now, I'm looking at my wardrobe, and on the wardrobe, it looks like a Taurus. It's looking at me right in the face. You know, when you see faces and everything. But getting back to why I know what to do, specific things, and how to act, how to behave, and so forth, is because I've mentioned this before on my YouTube channel. It feels like I live in the past. It feels like I exist in the future, and it feels like I live in the past. Think of it like this. Imagine remembering a time within your past. It could be any moment within the past week, in the past year, past decade. And imagine whilst you're remembering it, you can't wake up to this existing moment. You just can't get back here. So you're stuck inside your mind, inside the past, and you're forced to live out the entire thing all over again. It comes in handy, of course, because you know what's going to happen next. And to really let that settle in, imagine if you were 10. Okay, imagine a memory, any memory from when you were about 10 to 13, if those of you can't remember a memory of when you were 10, but for the sake of this exercise, imagine if you were 10, bring up a memory of when you were 10, and in that memory, I want you to notice how you feel. Now, from that memory, I want you to jump to another memory of when you were 15. Now, if you had done that correctly, you would have noticed the fact that you would have been under the presumption that you would have had to have jumped to the future to when you were 15 in order to attain that memory. Even though that in all actuality, when you were 15, that's actually a past event. See what I mean? So what happens is I get into these states, or I'm in this constant state where it feels like I'm 10, right? And yet I can see my 15th birthday and my 20th birthday and my 30th and my 80th and so forth, because it feels like I've lived my entire life already, because it feels like I'm living in my memory. I'm living in the past moment. The battery died. So what I was alluding to was the fact that when you were 10, when you were in that memory, looking at when you were 15, you could remember how you'd felt. And in a way, going by how you felt, you understood roughly how you were thinking due to what was happening within your environment. Yeah? With me, it feels like future memories are actually just past memories, and I'm stuck in the past, and I'm able to recall how I felt within specific areas of my life, what's coming next. I know, based on how I felt, how I'm responding to certain things. I can see how people are treating me a certain way. I can see the challenges of life. I can see everything before it happens, because technically it's just a distant memory. I go by that. I kind of pull from that, and I conduct myself accordingly in life. I don't mind this way of living. I mean, it was all set in stone by me anyway, right? It just feels like I'm on another one of those loops that I mentioned in my memory regression or my time travel video. It feels like I've lived this life before. It feels like this is a game and somebody has come into my room and erased all my data on my memory card, and I'm having to sit there and go through the whole game again. That's life. Everything's the same. Nothing's ever different, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, this has been a video on my kind of mentality towards why it is I'm able to manifest in a certain way. In that sense, is it manifestation? I actually don't think so. I think it's more akin to me just being in alignment to what I know I should be doing, and thereby I'm kind of falling into place and experiencing the memories of what I've already experienced.